Hello guys, um, welcome to the another online lecture. And as we used to do it, today again we are going to talk about the three main competing theories explaining the origin of our species. Now, we have three main competing theories that are explaining the origin of our species that we have in our world today. Now, these three main theories, we're going to talk about them one by one. The first theory is the species creation theory, or the spatial creation theory. Now, as the name implies, this is the theory that was first mentioned explaining the origin of our species. Now, this theory is saying that our species that we are having in the world today, they were all created independently from each other, meaning that no one species is related to the other species. They were all created independently. That is the spatial creation theory. Now, however, not all scientists believed in this theory. For example, the likes of Charles Darwin, the likes of Comte de Buffon, and the likes did not accept this theory. This theory even came well before those scientists will start to explain in their own perspective or views regarding this speciation. Now, the scientists like the John Ray, who was the first scientist to give the biological definition of a species, has once said that no one species springs into another one, meaning that all species were independently created from one another, and there is no speciation in this event. Speciation means the formation of a new species. Now, this theory did not accept the speciation, that one species will give rise to another species. This is a theory that did not accept that that saying. Now, you can see this is how it works. These are the independent creation. This is one of the species. Species A was created independently from this one, and this one also was created independently from this one. So which means all species were independently created. There is no speciation event. Now, let's talk about the second one, which is the transformism. Now, as the name implies, the transformism theory. The transformism theory, it is a theory which suggested that species do change to another species. They change to another species during the course of time. Maybe due to environmental factors will forces some species to change to another species. Now, the second thing that we have to put at the back of mind regarding the transformism is that there is no speciation event again. That is, the formation of new species is impossible here, because the species just transformed into another one, but a lineage did not break into another one. And the second thing that we have to put at the back of mind is there is no extinction here. All species will continue living, but they don't go extinct, they don't disappear. And as you can see, this is how we represent this transformism. This is species A, which has been transformed to species B, as we said, maybe due to harsh environmental conditions that forces or that mimic this thing to occur. And likewise, this one also transformed to this one, and this one also transformed to this one. But there is no breakage of lineage, meaning that there is no lineage that split here to form a new species. And that is why the name came transformism. The species just transformed to another one. Now, let's look at the most accepted theory about how our species came into existence. The theory here is the evolutionary theory. Now, this evolutionary theory, it is the theory that most of the scientists do accept it as the main idea that can possibly explain all these different species that we are having in our world today. Now, most of the scientists, such as Buffon, as he was formerly called Comte de Buffon, people like Erasmus Darwin, who was the grandfather of our noble Charles Darwin, and Charles Darwin himself. Now, this theory was not fully accepted until recently, late 18th and 19th century, when Charles Darwin wrote his book explaining the origin of species, which is the title of the book. Now, when Charles Darwin wrote that Origin of Species, a book, that was when the 19th century scientists fully understood how speciation occurs, how new species came into existence. And that is why this is the most accepted theory regarding how speciation occurs, how our species came into existence. Now, this evolutionary theory explaining the origin of species says that species do evolve into another species, and there are times when speciations will do occur, and also some species will go extinct and the others will continue living. Now let's look at the diagrammatic representation of this evolutionary theory. This is the origin of the species. This is the ancestral species. Okay, it gives rise to this lineage and this lineage. But as you can see, as the lineage grows, you have different species. Each line represents a species. Now, each line will give rise to different species. In other words, each line will give rise to a different species that will evolve. And as the lineage continue growing up to the height of the tree, you see a lot of speciation events. So this is the theory of evolution. Now, in short, to put everything together, there are three main competing theories explaining the origin of our species. The spatial creation, we mentioned that all species were created independently from each other. There is no speciation event. Now, the second one is transformism, which explains that the species do just transform to another species, but the lineages will never be split. Now, the third one says that evolutionary, which means that species do radiate from another species, and there are some speciation events and extinctions are also possible. So that is it. I hope you will enjoy the video, and I hope it is gonna help you guys too.